Thanks for joining our special live coverage of the Commerce and Industry Day ceremony. South Korea is about to celebrate its 51st Commerce and Industry Day. Now, this is the day when the country takes time to honor businesses and individuals in the field for their hard work as well as their contributions to the local economy. And President Yoon'S is set to deliver his special remarks at this year's edition. In 1977, the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry designated March 20th as Commerce and Industry Day to commemorate the country's industrialization and to promote further upgrades in commerce and industries. The ceremony includes giving out awards and recognition to those firms and business people who have led and produced fruitful achievements in their fields and expertise in industry and commerce. This year, a total of 208 people of merit are being awarded, but it's more than just an award ceremony. This is a day when the importance of commerce and industry, they are the core of the country's economic structure, are underlined, and entrepreneurship is respected and appreciated so that the results of the hard work can be seen in sustainable development. Now, President Yoon is about to deliver his special remarks. We are still waiting for the country's 51st Commerce and Industry Day ceremony to begin. Now, today, it is March 20th. We mark the South Korea's 51st Commerce and Industry Day. Again, this is the day when the country takes time to recognize and respect the businesses and individuals in the field for their hard work as well as their contributions to the local economy. Now, like I mentioned, President Yoon will deliver his special remarks at this year's edition. To remind you, and for those who are just joining us, in 1977, the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry designated today, March 20th, as Commerce and Industry Day to celebrate and commemorate the country's industrialization and to further promote upgrades in commerce and the field of industries. Now, today's ceremony includes giving out awards and recognition to those firms and business people who have led and produced fruitful achievements in their fields and expertise, especially in industry and commerce. Now, right now, a total of 208 people of merit are being awarded. But like I said, it's more than just an award ceremony. Today, it's a day when the importance of commerce and industry, the core of the country's economic structure, are being highlighted. And also, entrepreneurship is respected and recognized so that the results of their hard work can be seen in a further sustainable development. We are still waiting for South Korean President Yoon'S to deliver his special remarks or even a lecture for this year's ceremony. Now, we are waiting for the 51st Commerce and Industry Day ceremony that is taking place here in Seoul. Now, for this year's edition, a total of 208 people of merit are being awarded. There are the people in their fields of expertise, especially in commerce and industry, who have made contributions to hold up the country's economy. Now, over 200 people of merit are being recognized at this year's event. Now, to remind you, in 1977, that's when the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry designated March 20th as Commerce and Industry Day to commemorate the country's industrialization and also to promote further development and upgrades in commerce and industry. We are seeing South Korean President Yoon'S at the Commerce and Industry ceremony to award those people of merit for their hard work in the fields of their expertise in commerce and industry. He is one of 208 people of merit being awarded at this year's edition, but it's more than just an award ceremony for those people and also for the entire country, because it is a day when the importance of commerce and industry are being stressed and highlighted. And here at the event, entrepreneurship is also being recognized and appreciated so that the results of their hard work can be seen and also recognized in a sustainable
산업포장
development.
주식회사 메디아나 사장 강동원.
Again,
이하
ahead
내용은
of
같습니다.
his special
축하드립니다.
remarks to be delivered, President Yoon is giving out awards for those people of merit who have made significant contributions in the fields of commerce and industry. Again, 208 people are being recognized this year.
다음은 대통령 표창 정연숙입니다. 대통령 표창 주식회사
We are
한솔
still
일렉트로닉스 대표이사
seeing
정연숙.
Over
이하 내용은
200 people
같습니다.
of merit being
축하드립니다.
awarded at the 51st Commerce and Industry Day here in South Korea. Now, to give you a brief background of this special day,
함께 기념
back in
사진 촬영
1977, the
이어지겠습니다.
Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry specially
축하드립니다.
designated this specific day, March 20th, as
이상으로
Commerce and
정부 포상
Industry
수여를
Day to
마치겠습니다. 계속해서
remember and
대통령님의
commemorate the
특별
country's
강연이
industrialization.
있겠습니다. 여러분 큰 박수로
Now, President Yoon
맞아주시면
is about to deliver
고맙겠습니다.
his special remarks. We'll come back right afterwards.
상공인 여러분 반갑습니다.
Entrepreneurs, it's very nice to see
51회
you. We are celebrating the
상공의날을
51st
진심으로 축하드립니다.
Commerce and Industry Day, and I would like to extend
기업인
my
여러분들을 만날
congratulations.
때마다
Whenever I meet
늘
you, the business
고맙게
people,
생각하고
businessmen
있습니다.
and women, I am
우리
always
기업인
very
여러분께서
grateful.
밤낮 없이
All the
국내를 가리지
entrepreneurs
않고 정말 얼마나
go
열심히 뛰고
everywhere
계십니까?
around the world, and I know that you are running
여러분께서
very hard
더
and
열심히
striving towards
마음껏 뛰실 수 있도록
achievement. And
뒷받침해야
I
되는 것이 저와
believe
정부의
that
역할이라고
the responsibility
생각하고 있습니다.
of myself and the government is to support you
이
in your
역할을
endeavors.
어떻게 하면 좀 더 잘할 수 있나
And
고민도
also,
하고
we
또
ponder
무거운
upon
책임감도
how we
느끼고
can
있습니다.
support you better, and I feel
특히
the
최근 공급망
heavy
분절과 블록화로
responsibility. And
WTO
recently,
체제가
the
흔들리면서
fragmentation of supply
정부와
chain
기업이 함께
has
뛰는 것이
been
그 어느 때보다
shaking
중요해졌습니다.
the foundation, and that is why it is all the more important for the government to work together with you.
상대국에서도 정부가 관여해서 발주하는 경우도 많고
Companies
그래서
that
각국 정부와
make a lot of
좋은 외교
profits.
관계를 맺는
Some of the
것도
countries would
점점
make
더
their orders
중요해지고
themselves,
있습니다.
and that is why it is more than
저는
ever
취임하고
important to work
지난
closely
한
together
1년
with the
10개월 동안
government and the
이런
private sector.
공급망 분절
Ever since
블록화
I took
상황에
office for the
적극
last
대응하면서 우리 경제
2
환경을
years,
혁신하기 위해
we have
나름
been
최선을
actively
다해왔다고 생각합니다.
addressing these
우리
international
기업인 여러분께서도
circumstances,
원팀 코리아로
and
정말 열심히
you as entrepreneurs,
함께해 주셨습니다.
you have come on board as
민간이
one
앞에
Team
나서고
Korea, and you have done your
정부가
best.
뒤에서 밀면서
The
힘을
private
모아
sector
해외 시장을
is leading
개척하고
the economy, and it is supported by the government, and by doing so, we won a lot of orders and we have
또
expanded
실패를
overseas.
두려워하지 않는
You
기업가 정신이
took on bold challenges with your entrepreneurship, and that has been the
어려운 환경에서도 열심히
root
뛰어주시고
cause
모두가
for the
상생할 수
recovery
있도록
of Korean
협력해
economy.
주신 여러분께
I would like to
다시
once
한번
again
진심으로
extend
감사드립니다.
my gratitude to all of you for your
저와
great
정부는
endeavors.
기업인 여러분을
In the future,
뒷받침하면서
we will continuously
시장을
support
개척하고
you
우리
and
경제를
your
혁신시키는 데
enterprises,
최선을
and we'll do our
다하겠습니다.
best to innovate the Korean economy.
오늘 이 기쁜
Today
상공의 날에
is
저를
a very
연사로
delightful
이렇게 초청해
occasion,
주셔서
and I would like to
여러분과 함께
thank you
제가
once again for
생각하는
inviting me
국정기조와
as a
경제
lecturer
운영
and have this opportunity to share
함께
my
공유할 수 있는
policy
시간을
directions
갖게
and
해주셔서
philosophy.
감사합니다. 지금 우리는 새로운
At the
미래로 나아가는
moment, we are
중요한 갈림길에
at a
서
very
있습니다. 경제가
important
다시
crossroads
도약하고
to leap forward into the future, for the
역동적인
economy
미래를 열어갈 수
to
있도록
take a new leap
지금
and
우리가 서 있는 위치가
open up a new
어디인지
and happy
먼저
era
정확하게
of the future,
진단하고
we first have
여기에
to
맞춰서 미래
have
이정표를 세워야
a clear understanding where we stand right now, and based on that, make our milestones.
이 정책의
So
방향을
today, I would like
말씀드리고
to
또
share
이러한
with you
공유를 통해서
my
우리가
administration's
함께
policy
힘을 더 모으는
direction.
계기가
And as
됐으면
we do
좋겠습니다.
so, I hope that this would serve as an opportunity for us to join hands better.
지금부터 50년
The Commerce
전에
Day was
처음
designated
제정이
in 1975, about 50 years ago.
일인당
Compared to back then, the
563달러에서
GDP per capita has
33,000달러로
become
60배 가까이 늘었습니다. 수출은
more than 30,000 from
44억 5천만
only
달러에서 이제
$580.
7천억 달러의 고지를 눈앞에
And also
두고
our
있습니다.
exports are looking
현재
forward
우리보다 수출을
to
많이 하는
the
나라는 세계에
mark
5개
of
국가밖에 없습니다.
seven-
대한민국이 10대
700
경제대국을 넘어 글로벌 중추 국가로
billion.
도약하고 있는 것입니다.
So now the
온
Republic of
국민이
Korea is
아낌없이
becoming
땀을 쏟아
a
이뤄낸 기적적인
strong
성과이지만
nation around the
그 길의
world.
맨
Of course,
앞에는
this
우리
is a
기업이
miraculous
있고
result,
또
and at the
위대한
forefront we
지도자가
have our
있었습니다.
companies and
대한민국
enterprises,
건국부터
and we had
오늘까지를
great
돌이켜보면
leaders who
역사의
were
고비마다
directing
위대한
this forward.
결단이 있었습니다.
Whenever we were faced with
1945년
crisis,
광복을
we had
맞았을 때
great decisions.
북녘은
In 1945, when we were liberated,
우리는
North Korea chose the path of communism. However, for us, thanks to great leader Lee Seung-man, we have introduced the liberal, free, and democratic economy. And together with the establishment of the government in 1948, we had three major reforms, including the agricultural land and land reform. So with this, we had the freedom for everyone to own a piece of land and are eligible for education. Of course, this is something that is natural for us today, but back then this was something revolutionary. So the liberal market economy was an economic revolution. In 1948, the income per capita was $35, and 85% of the farmers did not even own a small piece of land. So through they were just peasantries, but through the land reform, they were able to own a land, and also the landlords were granted with their own rights, which had served as a basis for them to prosper. And the illiteracy rate was about 78%, but in 3 years, this 78% of illiteracy rate went down to 4.1%. This means education was very important, and even during the Korean War days, education continued. So such education and this illiteracy rate, low illiteracy rate, were the backbone of the economic development of the country. And also, we have made the basis for the women to participate in social activities. And also, we granted voting rights for women, and this was even earlier than that of UN and other countries. And former President Lee Seung-man had laid the foundation for nuclear power plant. most of the countries are short of fossil fuels, and for us it was even more, and therefore we looked into nuclear power. And in 1959, there were establishments of nuclear power plant institutions and facilities, and also the new departments at universities studying nuclear power were established. And in 1969, former President Park Chung-hee established a long-term plan for nuclear power, and therefore they were the foundation for the Republic of Korea's stance at the moment and the foothold in the international community in terms of nuclear power plants. We have numerous achievements by former President Park Chung-hee, but first the most, if you're asked to name one that is the most important, that would be the laying the foundation for economic development. Former President Park Chung-hee had the philosophy that once we try, we can do everything, and with that, we were able to achieve such economic development. And in the 1970s, when the state loans were not granted, President Park had deployed the miners and nurses to Germany, and that's opened the road to international aid. And it was an export-led economy that former President Park envisioned. And he also made gatherings and meetings where the entrepreneurs could come together and listen to their candid voices. And in 1964, the export was 100 million, and just in a short period of time, we have achieved $10 billion of export. And in last year, when we had the first report from the ministries, we were joined by different stakeholders and listened to the reports, and we also listened to the candid voices of the field. And this was thanks to my
올해는 민생 토론회를 통해 부처와 부서의 벽을 완전히 허물고
this was thanks to former President Park's policy and his addition of meetings with entrepreneurs. And ever since, we are joined by different stakeholders in terms of making policies. Recently, there's the movie out in the market, Founding War, and I was told that this is an opportunity to look back on the historical achievements of Korea's economy, and it was President Park Lee-seung-man and Park Chung-hee's endeavors and the foundation that they laid have become the basis for our economic achievements that we see today. We have so many great entrepreneur leaders, and today here I would like to emphasize the two great entrepreneurs, Lee Byung-chul and Chung Ju-young. As for Lee Byung-chul, he has numerous achievements, and I would like to evaluate and assess, and I would like to commend his endeavors in the economic development that he had brought upon. In 1983, former Chairman Lee Byung-chul had envisioned a semiconductor industry, and he saw the future in semiconductor. Back then, Japan was a powerhouse, and people had said that it would be a dream that is in vain. However, Lee Byung-chul, the former Chairman Lee Byung-chul,
10년 만인 1993년에 메모리 반도체 세계 1위에
tried
올라섰습니다.
endlessly, and
이후
with his
작년까지
endeavors,
31년간
Samsung became one
메모리
of
반도체
the
1위를 유지하고 있고 우리
world-leading
경제를
semiconductor companies, and now it has become world number one in chips industry.
1983년
In 1983, when former
반도체에
Chairman
도전하지
Lee,
않았다면
if he had not
우리
taken the
경제가
challenge
지금과 많이
into the semiconductor industry,
달랐을 것입니다.
then the economy today would have been
비료로
very different.
다시 전자에서
From
반도체로
textile to fertilizer, and from fertilizer to electronics, from electronics to semiconductor. That was the transformation of Samsung, and that was the foundation for Korea's economy as it is today.
정주영 회장님의 도전 정신 또한
Former Chairman Jung
경제
Ju-young,
발전의
his challenging
견인차였습니다.
spirit was the leading force of our economic development. In 1970s, when he had his plans to build a shipyard,
돈을 빌려줄
there weren't
나라는
any
없었습니다.
countries that would
정주영 회장께서는
borrow money to
500원짜리
such
지폐를
a
꺼내 거북선
poor
그림을 보여주며
country.
우리는
And even
500년 전인
among this
1500년대
predicament, what he did was that he showed the
설득해서 차관을
the
받아냈습니다.
Kabukson ship and had persuaded the people, saying that this was a design that was constructed 500 years ago, and you can see that this is our opportunity and potential of Korea and the Korean people.
너무 덥고 물도 부족하다면서 사업 참여를 꺼렸습니다. 정
He
회장께서는
also faced
비가 오지 않으니까
difficulties
1년
in the
내내 공사를 할 수
1980s
있고
in
모래가
the
지천에
Middle
있으니
East,
자재
in the
조달도
desert
쉽다는
land,
역발상으로
and
사업을
he
수주하셨습니다. 우리
achieved
경제
his
발전의
order
큰
by
밑거름이 된 중동 건설 붐은 그렇게
by
시작됐습니다.
thinking out of the box,
이처럼 정주영
and
회장께서는 조선 신화와
as
중동 건설
such,
신화를 거쳐
he had
혼인
made
신화에
myths
이르기까지
of
불굴의
shipyard
도전을 멈추지
construction and
않으셨습니다.
also the Middle East construction. And then this led into the pony miracle, and he
저는
ran and
이분들이야말로
tried tirelessly.
또 이병철
I
정주영 회장님을
believe
비롯한
that these two,
불굴의 이 도전과
gentlemen,
투지로
and
기업을
including
발전시켜온
these two
우리
people, we have
상공인들
so many great entrepreneurs and businessmen and women.
영웅이라고 생각합니다.
And I believe that you are the real heroes of the industrial development of Korea.
우리 영웅들의 결단과
The
도전을
decision and
지금
challenges
되돌아보면서
of you, the
우리가
heroes,
나아갈 미래를
we look back
설계하는
on what we
토대로
have
삼아야 합니다.
on what we have achieved so far, and based on this foundation, we should
우리의 헌법 정신인
go
자유민주주의와
forward into
자유시장
a better
경제를
future.
이 땅에 뿌리내려 키워온 것입니다.
I think one of the biggest achievements was that on the foundation of Constitution, we adopted liberal democracy and liberal democracy. And the history of Korea was to uphold such democracy. And based on this, I believe that our historical responsibility that is granted upon us is to develop such democracy further. However, with our
자유시장 경제에
industrialization
대한 오해와 왜곡이
and
우리 사회에
liberal
퍼진
free
안타까운 측면이
market
있습니다.
economy, there are
자유시장 경제의
some
자유는
misunderstandings
강자가
about liberal
약자를
democracy.
마음껏 약탈하는 자유가 아닙니다.
The freedom that we're talking about
책임과
is not
윤리가
about
따르는
exploiting
자유이고
the weak
공정하게
by the
경쟁해서
strong. It
국민
is about
후생을
fair
극대화하고
competition, and by
공정한
doing
배분이
so,
이루어지는
maximize the
시스템을
welfare
말하는
of the
것입니다.
people
그런데
and have a just
정치
and fair
이념적인 왜곡과 선동이
system to
만연하면서
compete with each
이념
other.
편향적인
However,
정책이
we
우리 경제를
have
흔들기도 했습니다.
policies, we had
탈원전
policies
정책이
that
대표적인데
that
원전은
shook
그냥 발전소가
this
아닙니다.
foundation with
값싸고
some
품질 좋은 전기를
idealistic,
생산해서 우리
ideological
산업과 경제의
centered
토대가 되는
policies.
것입니다. 원전이 있었기 때문에
The
우리가 반도체
nuclear power
산업도 키울
plants
수 있었고 모든 산업의
are
경쟁력을 갖출 수 있었고
an important
성장과
basis
번영을
for
국민
economic
모두와
development.
공유할 수 있었습니다.
And with this, we could
그런데
develop
탈원전 정책을
other
밀어붙여
industries.
원전 생태계를 무너뜨린 결과로
However, with the
그
phase-out
피해가
policy of nuclear
우리
power
산업과
plants,
국민
the
전체에게
harm was
돌아갔습니다.
induced to not only the industry but
또한
also the Korean people as a whole.
근로자의 권리는
And also the rights
당연히
of the
보호받아야
workers
하는 것입니다만
is
지금 우리의
something
노동
that
현장은
must be, it's an obligation to
정상적인 상황이
protect
아닙니다.
them. However, at the moment,
이념으로
this
무장한
is not
기득권
something that we
노조
could see as
카르텔로
normal.
인해
With the
노동
labor
현장에
union
불법이
cartel,
판을 치고 노동
the
시장의
illegality
이중 구조가
is
심화되면서
spreading
힘없는 미조직 근로자들은
the
오히려
working
더
sites.
열악한 처지로 내몰리고
And
있습니다.
thus making
또
the vulnerable
건국 이래
even more vulnerable.
70년간의
And also,
누적 국가 부채가 600조 원이었는데
the
재정
we
만능주의에
had
빠진
6 trillion won of national debt.
불과 5년 만에
But
400조 원이 늘어
it
1000조 원을
has
넘어서고 있습니다.
climbed additional
정부는
400
선심을
trillion
쓰고
won, and now
정부는
it
미래
is
세대에게 넘겨버린 것입니다.
more than 1,000
더욱이
trillion won of
우리나라는
national
기축통화
debt.
국가가
This
아니기
is
때문에
actually just passing the
GDP에
ball
비해
to
과도한 국가
to our
채무는
next generations,
국채와
and such
회사채
excessive
금리를 올려
national debt
경제의 어두운
would
그림자를 드리우게
exacerbate the national economy even further.
자유시장 경제
So,
체제에 대한
The
이해 부족
liberal
그리고 그릇된
democracy,
이념에
the
사로잡힌
understanding of the liberal
무언식과
democracy
포퓰리즘이
system
우리
and
경제의
reckless
어려움을
populism
가중시켜 온 것입니다.
were some of the
세계사를
reasons why
살펴보면
the economy
자유시장과
has been
자유주의 정치 시스템이 있는
exacerbated
곳에서
and deteriorating.
번영과 풍요가 꽃을 피웠습니다.
With the liberal
저는
democracy, we have
무너진
seen
헌법 가치를
the
바로
flourishment of
자유민주주의와 시장
national
경제 체제를
economy,
복원하여
and
더욱
myself,
강화하는 것이
based on the
대통령의
Constitution,
가장 큰 책무라고 생각합니다.
I believe it is my utmost priority to recover and re-establish the liberal economy.
제가 취임사에서 35번,
As
또
I
광복절
made
경축사에서
the
33번,
acceptance
유엔
speech
총회 기조
and
연설에서
in the Liberation Day
자유를
speech and the
이야기한
UN
것은
speech,
바로
I
이런
have
이유입니다.
reiterated
그런 측면에서 저는 오늘
freedom
여러분과
and
함께
liberal
자유의
democracy
참된
many
의미를
times.
생각해 보려고
To this
합니다.
end, I would like to take this
자유의
opportunity
가장
to
기본적이고
think once
소극적
again
의미는
about freedom.
다른
The
사람이나
basic
국가 공권력으로부터
meaning of
방해받지 않는
freedom
것입니다.
would be that we're not disrupted
하지만
by
우리는
the
여러 사람과
national
공존하며 살아가기 때문에
public
다른
power.
사람의
However,
자유도
since
존중해야
we
합니다.
are living in a world that we
하나의
live with
자유를
each
넘어
other, we have
사회
to also
구성원들이
think about others'
공존하는
freedom
자유가
as well.
진정한 자유인 것입니다.
And so it could be said that that freedom
많은 구성원들의
that we take
자유의
into
공존
consideration of
방식이
others' freedom,
바로
a coexisting freedom,
윤리고
is
책임이고
what
규범입니다.
it means in earnest.
윤리,
And we
책임,
also have to
규범을
look at
지키지
the
않고
responsibility that is
도외시하는
accompanied by the freedom
자유가
that
아니라
we enjoy.
방종입니다.
And if we do not think about others
근본적이고
when
자발적인
we and
자유의
just
공존 방식은 박애와 연대의 정신입니다.
put emphasis on my freedom, then that will be
베를린
indulgence.
연설에서 존 F. 케네디 대통령은
President John F. Kennedy made a speech in 1960s
모두가
saying that if
자유롭지 못한 것이라고
only
했습니다.
one person, if he or she is enslaved, then it could not be said that this is
방해받지
a
않는
free
차원을
democracy.
넘어 부족함 없이 자아를 개발할 수 있어야 합니다.
So the democracy and the freedom that we're talking about is not, it should go beyond the uninterrupted freedom, but also a freedom that people could enjoy and could
자유인끼리
spend their time into developing oneself into becoming a better person.
방정식이 중요합니다.
And that is why it is important to have the equation of fairness. So the individuals who are living in this society should be entitled to the freedom, and I believe the government is there to solve this equation of fairness.
개인의 자유를 철저하게 보장하되
As we
각자의 자유가 충돌하지 않고
guarantee the
공존하는 사회를
individual
만들기 위해
rights of
정부가
freedom,
구성된 것입니다.
and meanwhile, we have to make sure that others' freedom are not
자유의
infringed.
자발적 윤리인 박애와 연대의 정신을
And
실천해서
also,
국민
we have to
모두의
exercise
자유를
the
확장하는
spirit
것이
of
또 정부의 역할입니다.
compassion and
국민의
philanthropy.
정부가 일할 수 있게 해주는 만큼
And with
정부는
the
국민을 지원하고
taxpayers' money, the
국민의
government
자유를 뒷받침해야
can
합니다.
work, and
자유주의 시장 경제는
as
이러한
such,
자유의
the
가치를
government should
토대로
be
하는
able
것이라고
to
생각합니다.
guarantee the freedom of people.
자유는 기본적으로 개인에서 출발한 것입니다.
Freedom starts out from
더
individuals.
많은 후생과
However,
자유를
for better
창출해내기 위해
welfare and have better freedom, and more freedom, we need
자본과
capital
노동과 기술이
and labor and
기업이
technology. And with
그런 만큼
that,
자유시장
there are
경제에서 가장
enterprises.
중요한 것이
And
바로
therefore,
기업입니다.
enterprises are the
기업
basis
활동을 위한
for
자유가
this liberal
충분히 보장돼야
market
하고
economy.
동시에
We have
기업도
to
자유의 공존을
secure
위해
and
노력해야
guarantee
합니다.
the freedom for
기업
the
활동이
enterprises,
약탈적이어서는 안
and
되고
enterprises
그래야
have their own
기업도 더 크게
responsibilities as
성장할
well.
수 있습니다. 기업은 여러 관계를 맺고 있습니다.
Enterprises have
기업과
different kind of
기업,
relationships.
또 기업과
Enterprises,
소비자의 관계는 물론
relationships
기업
with other
내부로는
companies, with their
근로자,
customers,
주주와의
and
관계가
internally
있고
they have
정부와도
relations
관계가
with their
있습니다.
employees, their shareholders, as well as
직접적인
the
것은
government.
아니더라도
And
전체 국민과의 관계도
maybe it is
있고
not
글로벌 기업들은
a direct connection, but they also
시민들과의
have connection to the country as a whole and the citizens around the world.
그런 측면에서 기업
Against
활동의
this
자유는
backdrop, the freedom
윤리와
of
책임,
companies'
연대의
activities,
바탕을 둬야 합니다.
they should be grounded
기업이
on the freedom
윤리,
and
책임,
spirit
연대의
of freedom,
정신을 잘
ethics,
지켜나갈 때
and solidarity. When they
소비자들은
uphold
그
such
기업과
spirits,
제품을
that is
더
when the
좋아하고
consumers
더 많이 찾게
would
됩니다.
be welcoming
또
the
다른
products
기업들은
of that
물론 정부도
company
그
even more.
기업에 더 큰 신뢰를 갖게 되고
And the government
함께
would have greater
일하고 도와주고
trust
싶어 할
in
것입니다.
that company and would like to support that
단순히
company
매출
even more.
증가를 넘어서서
Going beyond just the sheer
협력의
amount of
범위가
revenue,
확장되면서
but
아이디어도
as you
많아지고
expand
기업이
the
더 크게
relations
성장하게
of
되는 것입니다.
cooperation, it would in
특히
return
지금은
grow
개별
the
기업의
company.
역량에 더해
And today we're living in a world where
기업 경영의 핵심 요소가
not just
되고
the
있습니다.
sole company's performance itself, but it also has to
한 대에 수천억이 넘는 EUV 노광
be
장비를 생산하는 기업입니다.
cooperating with other companies around the
이
world.
기계를 사기 위해
In the
글로벌
Netherlands,
반도체
one
기업들이
of the leading companies
순서를
in the
기다리고
Netherlands, they
그런데 이
are very
기계는
much welcomed by many
ASML이 20년에
semiconductor
걸쳐
companies around the world. This company is ASML.
네트워크로 연결해서
And what they have
만들어낸
done
것입니다.
was that they connected all the
독점적인 기술을
technologies
갖는
of their
것도 중요하지만
partner companies and it made it into a network. So
신뢰를
not only the
실천하면서
technology itself, but what they have done was a best practice case that they connected these technologies based on the
자유주의
spirit
시장
of
경제와
democracy, freedom,
정치적인
and
자유민주주의는
solidarity.
동전의 양면과 같습니다.
And I believe
자유시장
that
경제를 지키기
it
위해
is
발전한
very
시스템이
important
바로
as we talk about
자유민주주의입니다.
freedom. It's always
자유시장
accompanied by
경제 시스템이
responsibility and
정치적으로는
ethics.
자유민주주의로 결국 같은 것입니다.
So the liberal democracy
따라서
is
자유시장
the
경제를
same
발전시켜온
as
우리의
the
역사는
liberal
그
market
자체로
economy, and therefore
자유민주주의
our
발전
history
과정이었다고 할 수 있습니다.
is the history of the
자유시장 경제를
entrepreneurship
발전시켜온
and
우리
the
기업인들이
history of Korea's
정치적 민주화의
liberal
진정한
market
공로자인
democracy
것입니다.
is the history of Korea's democracy, and that is why you are the heroes
이제
that
이러한
made
역사의 토대
the
위에서
history of our liberal
경제
democracy.
제도약의 길로 다시 나아가야 합니다.
And now we have to
저는 결국
step
우리가
forward into
글로벌 시장으로
developing
더 많이 도전해서
Korea
나아가야
and Korean
한다고
economy
생각합니다.
into the next
만약에
level. And I
이승만
believe
박정희
that we
대통령께서
would have to
수출이 아닌
do so
매수를
in
선택했다면
cooperation
지금
and with the
우리
global
일인당
economy
GDP는
and market.
3만 달러 선이 아니라
If
3천
our
불도
former
넘지
presidents
못했을 것입니다.
focused only
앞으로
on
우리가
domestic
5만
economy,
달러,
I
10만
don't
달러로
think
가기
that we would
위해서도
see the
50억
Republic of
명의
Korea's
글로벌
economy
시장을
as we see it today.
공략해야 합니다.
We have to look
기업
further
스스로
into
글로벌
the
경쟁력을
world
갖춰야
world
하고
economy,
정부도
and to this end,
글로벌
the
스탠다드에
companies
맞는
should
시스템을
have
구축해서
their competitiveness, global
뒷받침해야 합니다.
competitiveness, and
더
the
나아가
government will
글로벌
support this.
스탠다드를 따라가기만 해서도
endeavor.
안 되고
And
우리가
we should not
선도적으로
just follow the global
스탠다드를
standard, but
만들어
also
나가야
we
합니다.
would have to be the ones
그래서
who
해외
are forming
기업들이
the global
우리가
standards,
만들어낸 글로벌 스탠다드를
so that
수용하고
companies around the
따라오도록 해야 합니다.
countries should
그렇다면 이를
and would
위해
be able to accept
구체적으로
the global
어떤
standard
변화와
that
혁신이
we
필요한지
have made.
정부는 어떤 노력을 기울이고 있고
And to this end, what
기업은
kind of
어떤
innovation
노력이
is
필요한지
necessary, and
말씀드리겠습니다.
what are the governments and the enterprises'
먼저
responsibilities,
노동개혁이
I would like to
시급합니다.
talk about this.
노동개혁은
First and
무엇보다
foremost,
시급하고
labor reform
근본적인 혁신이
is a
필요한
pressing
과제입니다.
issue. This is something that we have
최근에
to reform
건설 현장의
profoundly.
불법 활동,
Recently, in the
소위
construction
건폭이
site,
또다시 머리를 들고
we have
있습니다.
some illegal
우리
activities
노동시장이
that are
이래서는
resurging.
경제 제도약은
And
요원할 수밖에 없습니다.
without labor reform,
저는
the
노동 문제
new leap
역시
of economy would not be
기업과
possible.
근로자 관계에서
And
어떻게
the labor
서로의 자유를
and
존중하며
company
공존할
relationship
것인가?
should
그리고
be
어떻게
thinking
글로벌
about how
시장에서
we can all
경쟁력을
coexist
강화할
and how
것인가라는
we can
두 가지
strengthen our
측면을
competitiveness
함께
in the
봐야
global
한다고
market.
생각합니다. 그런 만큼 노사
And
법치는
therefore,
너무나 당연한
the
과제이고 더욱 중요한 것은 노동 시장의 유연성입니다.
the rule of law is of
노사
utmost
법치가
importance,
확립되어야
and the flexibility
불필요한 갈등이
in
사라지고
the labor
노동자의
relations is
권리도
important.
더 잘 보장할 수 있습니다. 또 노동의
Only
수요와
by the rule
공급에
of
맞춰
law we can
기업과 근로자 모두가
ensure the
자유로운
freedom
선택을 할
and
수
the
있어야
rights of the workers,
자유의 공존이
and
가능하고
also
기업의
the
글로벌
the
경쟁력을
freedom
강화시킬
can
수 있는
coexist only when this
그래야
is based
기업의
on
투자가
rule of law.
늘고
And that is how
노동자들은
we
더 많은
can
취업
increase the
기회와
investment
더
into
좋은
the
처우를
companies,
누릴 수
and the workers will
동시에 글로벌
benefit
시장에서
from this.
노동 문제를
And
어떻게
simultaneously,
다루는지 살펴서
we would have to look at the
노동
global
유연성과
market,
노동자
how
보호가
the
함께 갈 수
labor
있도록
issues are
만들어야 합니다.
dealt with, and how the workers' rights
정부는
are upheld.
지금까지 법을
The
지키는
Korean
노동운동은
government
확실하게 보장하고
had
불법 행위는
guarantee
노사를
the
불문하고
activities, the
법과
legal
원칙에 따라
activities of the union,
엄정하게
and if it
대응해
is
왔습니다.
illegal, we have taken
또
stern
고용세습 등
steps.
청년 일자리를 빼앗는
And
위법한
also,
단체
employment
협약은
succession
과감하게 시정하고
and such illegal
노조
activities
활동의
were
투명성과 신뢰성을 높이기 위해
addressed with stern
노조
measures.
회계 공시 제도도
And also, we
도입하였습니다.
have introduced
그
the
결과
labor union
파업으로 인한
accounting
근로 손실 일수가
data
역대 정권의
disclosure.
평균
And as a
3분의
result,
1 수준으로 줄어들었습니다.
we have made significant
노사
achievements in
법칙
terms of
토대 위에서
transparency
다른
in terms
개혁까지도
of union
속도를
and
내겠습니다.
company relations. And based on this, we are going to
우선
swiftly
산업 구조의 변화에 맞게
carry
노동
out
시장을
other
더욱
labor-related
유연하게
initiatives. First of all,
근로
we are going
시간은
to make
현행
more
주
flexible
52시간제의 틀을 유지하며
labor
근로자의 건강권과
labor
휴식권을 확실하게 보장하되
rights.
현장
Based on
여건에
the
맞지 않아
52-hour
노사
work
유연화를
week,
희망하는
we are going
업종과
to
직종을
make it
중심으로
more
개선
flexible
방안을
for the
연공서열
laborers,
중심의 임금 체계도
their working hours and
일한
working
만큼
days.
정당한 보상이 주어지는
And also,
직무
we are
성과급
going to
체계로
make sure
전환해
a
나가야 합니다.
performance-based compensation
유연근무,
system rather
재택근무,
than the
하이브리드
seniority-based
근무와 같이 다양한 근무
compensation.
형태를 확산해서
Many types of forms of work and work hours would be introduced.
유연하게
So not
바뀌어야
only the
합니다.
method, but also the
지난 2월
time
6일
of labor
경사노위가 새롭게
should have more
노사 모두를 위한 유연화
choices.
방안을 심도 있게 논의해서
And
합리적인 대안을 모색하는 것은
we would have to
제가
sit
옆에서
together with the
보기에도
labor
매우
union, and
기쁘고
we
반가운
had a chance
일이었습니다.
to talk with the labor unions
노동시장의 이중 구조를
that
개선하는 것도
and
시급한
had a
과제입니다.
great discussion about
우리나라는
the ways
세계에서
to
손꼽을 만큼
make the labor
노동시장
market
이중 구조가
flexible.
심각하고 조직화되지
Korea
않아서 보호받지 못하는
is
노동 약자들이 너무나
suffering from
많습니다.
the dual structure of
동일한
labor
노동에 대한
market,
보상 체계가
and
공정하지
therefore
못하다면 결코
we have to
자유롭고 정의로운
carry
시장이라 할 수
out
없습니다.
this labor reform.
지난해 2월 조선업
Last year in February,
상생협약을 시작으로
starting
원화청
from
상생
the
노력이 자동차, 석유화학 등
starting from the
다양한
shipbuilding
업종으로 확산되고 있습니다.
industry, we have
정부도
been making a
노사
lot
간
of achievements in
자율적인
terms
상생
of
노력을
company and labor
적극적으로
union
뒷받침하겠습니다.
relations, and the government will do our utmost to support such endeavors.
우리 기업들의 발목을 잡는 여러 형태의 규제들도
And there are a lot of
글로벌
regulations
스탠다드에
that are
맞춰
actually
혁파해내야 합니다.
hindering
그래야 우리
the
기업들이
company's
글로벌 시장에서
activities. And
경쟁력을
we are
갖출 수
going to
있습니다.
revolutionize
그동안
and
정부는
such
갈라파고스 규제들을
regulations.
글로벌 스탠다드에 부합하도록 적극적으로 혁파하고
And
개선해
until
왔습니다.
now, the government has taken a lot of
킬러
deregulatory
화평 화관법상의 화학물질 규제를 EU 수준으로
actions.
개선했습니다.
And especially in the chemical industry, we have deregulated to the global standards. And also for the FX industry,
추진하고 있습니다.
we are also
비대면 진료도
pursuing
시범 사업만 할
opening
것이 아니라
the
세계
market
시장의
that
추세에
would
맞게
meet the
조속히
global
제도로
time zone.
정착시키겠습니다.
And also,
시대 변화에 뒤처진 낡은
telemedicine
규제도
also
과감하게
would
걷어내고
be
있습니다.
deregulated. We're
전통
also
제조업
deregulating
중심의
the outdated
산업단지에
regulations
청년들이 선호하는 첨단
at
신산업에
the
입주할 수 있도록
complex
산업단지
industrial
입지 규제를
complexes.
30년 만에
We
전면
have
개편했습니다.
made
도입된 지 50년이 넘는
great
그린벨트는
steps to
전략
to ease the
지역의
regulation
전략
in
산업 투자를
these
위한 부지로
industrial complexes so that they could accommodate facilities that would attract the youth.
대형마트 의무 휴업일 규제와 같이
And also the
기업과
mandatory
소비자의 선택을
day
제약하는
off
낡은 규제도
regulation for
원점에서
big
재검토하고 있습니다.
markets.
최근
They are
서울,
also
대구에 이어
being looked into.
부산의 16개
Recently,
구청과 군청도
together with Daegu and other 16 local governments, they have come on board in terms of easing this regulation of a mandatory day off of the big supermarkets.
사업에 착수조차 하지 못하는 경우가 많습니다.
And there are some industries that we don't even have basic regulations, that they cannot even start their own companies. And some leading examples would be like
제도의 뒷받침이 없어 포기하는 일이
the autonomous driving cars.
실증 특례 임시 허가를
So what we are going to do is to activate the regulation sandbox.
취임 이후
After taking office, including killer regulations, we have improved more than 1,700 regulations. Any irrational regulations that are hindering the improvements of and enhancements of
지역에
your
투자하는 기업에 세제 규제 특례를
initiatives
포함하여
would be looked into,
지역 특성에
and
맞는
including
파격적인
the
인센티브를
taxation
제공하는 기회발전 특구
incentives,
지정도 즉시
the
착수하겠습니다.
special opportunity zone would be
우리
designated, and I would
기업인들께서
like to
많이
expedite
힘들어하시는
this
가업
designation.
승계 문제 역시
And also the family
글로벌
succession
시장에서의 기업
issue.
생존과
This
지속
is
가능성을
directly
염두에 두고
linked
살펴봐야
to
합니다.
the sustainability
현재 우리
of the company.
제도는 세계적인 상장
system
대기업들의
of
소유와
today
경영 분리를 일반화
is-
보편화시킨 것이어서 우리 기업들에게는
is
매우
the,
비현실적입니다.
is very
이러한
impractical
소유와
for
경영의
Korean
분리가
companies
제대로
to separate the
경영과
ownership and
관행이
management.
축적돼야 하고
And for us
시장
to
여건도
separate ownership and
맞아떨어져야
management, we have to have the right
게다가 우리나라는 가업
background of the market, and also it has to be the
부정적 인식이 강합니다.
we have to have the circumstances that would allow this. However, this is not the case in Korea, and that is why the family succession system is very complicated and quite difficult to
상속세를
fulfill.
신경 쓰느라 혁신은커녕 기업 밸류업이나
And that is why the
근로자
inheritance
처우
tax
개선에
is
나선
very heavy,
엄두조차 내지 못하고 있습니다.
which is
이 얼마나 비효율적인
resulting
일입니까?
in the difficulties
누가 이런
in
현실에서 마음 놓고 기업에 투자하고 글로벌 시장에서
the
경쟁할 수 있겠습니까?
business activities, and in such
독일은 가업 승계
circumstances
제도가 잘
it
갖춰져
will be
있어
difficult to attract
기업이
more
오로지
investment.
혁신에 매진할 수 있는
In case of
환경이
Germany, they have
구축되어 있습니다.
built
독일은
an
상속세 최고
environment
세율이 30%로
where the inheritance
우리나라
tax is not a
50%가
hindrance,
훨씬 낮고
and where their
기업
the
규모에
tax rate is about
관계없이
30%,
가업 상속
which
공제를
is
적용하고
very
있습니다.
low compared to our
그것도 고용 등
50%
일정 요건을
level.
충족하면
And
최대
also,
100%까지 감면받을 수 있습니다.
this could be exempted up
그
to
결과
100%
오늘날
if you
독일은
fulfill
세계
certain
최대의
conditions.
히든
And
챔피언과
as
100년
a
기업을 보유한
result,
국가가 됐습니다.
Germany became a
정부는
country
원활한 가업
where
승계를
they
통해
have a
장수
lot
기업이
of
많아지고
long-living
이를 통해
companies
고용도
and are
안정되고
leading industrial
경제도 지속적으로
powerhouse.
성장해 나아갈 수 있도록
And with this,
적극적으로 제도 개선을 해 나가겠습니다.
we are going to look into such good practices and adopt it to that is befitting the Korean
우리 기업인
economy.
여러분과 함께 노력해서
With you, the
바꿔나가야 할
entrepreneurs,
과제가 있습니다.
we have
바로
to
독과점
change
해소입니다.
this
기업이
issue, and it is
성장하면서
a task
산업과
that
시장에서
we have to resolve,
독과점을
which is
형성하는 경우가
to
있습니다.
resolve the
그러나 세계
monopoly.
어느 정부도 독과점의
There are some
지대
cases
추구를
where
방치하지는 않습니다.
the
우리
monopolies
정부가
are
독과점의
addressed by the
울타리에서
government itself, but
손쉽게 이자 장사를 해온
the government
금융권의 지대 추구를 개선한 것도 바로 이런 시스템의 발동이라고 할 수 있습니다.
have
우리나라 은행의 이자 수익은 60조에 이르고
has looked
이
into
가운데
the
5대 은행의
practices
이자
of
수익은
monopolies
40조
and
원이
especially
넘습니다.
in the interest
그런데
revenue of
세계 은행
banks.
순위에서
It has
50위 이내에 우리나라
it's
은행은
about
단
60
한 곳도
trillion
없습니다.
won of the banks. However,
결국
we
독과점
believe that
구조에
this system of
추구에
monopoly
안주한 결과입니다.
is something that we
앞으로
have to
금융 산업이
review
더욱 과감한
and
혁신에
address.
나서야 합니다.
And therefore, the companies
택시
would have
대란을
to
야기한 콜
be
몰아주기,
at the forefront in terms of the in terms of dealing with such monopolistic
독과점 지위
activities.
남용 행위에도
And also
적극
in the
대처해
taxi
왔습니다.
industry,
또
they
수십
have
년간
taken
공고하게
measures
유지되어
to
온
address
사교육
the
시장의
monopoly
독과점
of the
카르텔을 깨고
taxi
공정한 입시
platform.
실현을 위해 교육 시스템도 혁신해 나가고 있습니다.
And even in the educational field, they are also taking, they are also reviewing the practices of monopoly.
건설 산업 전반에
And this is also the case for the construction industry.
대처해 나가겠습니다.
And we are going to take even
이처럼
more stern
정부는
measures
독과점
to
카르텔 타파를 위해 노력을
do
멈추지
away with the
않겠습니다만
monopolistic
우리 기업들
cartels
스스로도
in every
독과점의
different
지대 추구에
industries.
안주하는
And with
관행에서
such government's
벗어나야
endeavors, I hope that you come on
독과점
board
기업은
to
당장은
muster
돈을
our
벌기
strength
쉽지만
to
결국은 살아남기 어렵습니다.
abolish the
기업이
monopolistic
발전하려면
activities.
끊임없이
It could
경쟁하며
yield
변화하는
a
소비자
short-term
선호와 글로벌 트렌드에 맞춰
interest. However, in the long
계속
run,
혁신해
monopoly
나가야
cannot
그런데
be
독과점 지대 추구에 안주하면 기업에서
something that
혁신이
is
사라집니다.
long-lived.
더 큰
And
시장에서 생존할 수
For us to
없습니다.
do that,
우리 기업인들께서 더 멀리
we
바라보고
have to have you, the entrepreneurs, have a
혁신을
long-term
지속해
perspective
주실 것이라고
and to
믿습니다.
continue on with your innovation and the endeavors to innovate.
기업의 성장 사다리를 튼튼하게 구축하는
The
것도
growth ladder, the
정부의
strong
역점
growth ladder
과제입니다.
of companies
기업가라면 누구나
is
기업을
one
창업할
of
때
the
그
administrative
기업을 계속
tasks.
키워서 그 분야 최고가 되기를 꿈꿀 것입니다.
Any company that
그래서
starts out dreams
기업의
about a
성장은
strong company
기업가의
with a strong
본능입니다.
growth ladder. And
하지만 우리
therefore,
사회의
growth is an
잘못된 제도들이 이러한
instinct
본능을
of
억누르고
entrepreneurs.
있습니다.
But the
기업 규모가
wrong
커지면
social
규제와 조세 부담도 커질
regulations
수밖에
and
없지만
policies are actually
규제는
hindering such
지나치게
dream
강해지고
of entrepreneurs.
지원은 턱없이 부족한 것이 현실입니다.
Some
결과적으로
would be
중소기업에서 중견기업
excessive,
대기업으로의
that it is
성장을 꺼리는
pressuring
피터팬
the
증후군이
dream
만연해
of these
있습니다.
entrepreneurs. And the Peter
그동안
Pan syndrome is
한시법이었던
prevalent in the
중견기업법을
market.
상시법으로
The,
전환하고 투자세액
Middle-sized
공제와 같은
company
조세 제도를
Act would be
성장 지향적으로
revised, and
개편해
also
왔습니다마는
we have been
아직도
taking a
부족한
lot of
점이
steps
많습니다.
to make this future-oriented.
정부는
However,
기업의
there are
성장을
still
가로막는
shortfalls in such
세제,
activities.
재정, 규제를
The taxation
획기적으로 개혁해서
and
기업 성장
financial
사다리 종합 대책을 금년 상반기까지
regulations would
내놓을
be
것입니다.
eased, and we are
또한
going to
기업의 더 큰
propose a
성장을
revision
위해
by the first half
우리
of this year.
기업들의 시각과 전략도 과감하게 바꿔나갈 필요가
And
있습니다.
also your perspectives
조금
and
전에
your
제가
forecasts, if
ASML
it is
사례를
needed, you
말씀드렸는데
would have to
ASML
change and
성공의
revise
핵심은
this. I
이미
took the
존재하는
example of
기술을
ASML,
빠르게
and
연결해서
the core of their success
좋은
was
제품을 만들어
to
파는
look at the
바로
technology
상업화
that is at
시스템입니다.
the core and commercialize
인류비
this in
노광장비의
connection
타고난 경쟁력은
with other
거울
companies.
반사 방식에서 나옵니다. 그런데
And
사실 이 기술은
the exposure equipment of this company is the core technology. However, this technology has a long history that climbs back to the 1950s. But they utilized this technology and made connections and network with other companies in the world, and they became the world-leading company in their own industry. A lot of different technologies, they are existent in every part of the world, and it may not be in the Republic of Korea, but it would be out there somewhere. So if you just focus your work and time 5 to 10 years, let's say, to develop a new technology, then you would be losing time. So it is about the technology itself, but it is more about how you use this technology. So we are going to support in earnest to look into the open technology and developing and exploring new technology. The IRA and semiconductor export limit of the U.S. In terms of these initiatives, these plans, the government will help you. Also, the FTA network that covers 85% of the world would be supported even stronger by the government, so that you will have the help of the government. And I ask you to beef up your competitiveness. Just trying to enlarge the size of your company would not do. You would have to look into the software and the competitiveness of your companies, and by doing so, you will be able to receive even better support from the government. Lastly, freedom is always accompanied by responsibility and ethics. I would like to highlight this point. As mentioned earlier, myself and the government will guarantee the freedom of the entrepreneurs and the freedom of enterprises and your activities. And you, as the enterprises, would have to execute the responsibility and ethics. Especially if you are a global company and a leading company, such social responsibility is even bigger. The big companies should not exploit their status and would have to find ways to live together and coexist with other companies. And I hope that you would do your utmost in protecting the labor rights. Moreover, the low birth rate and balanced regional development and such societal initiatives, I hope that you will cooperate in this regard. Recently, there are bold policies to encourage birth and delivery of the company's employees, and I really thank all of you for such policies. When the enterprises live up to their social responsibility, they would earn the respect of the consumers, and the consumers will select and choose those companies even more. And as we mark the Day of Commerce, I hope that we look back on the importance of responsibility and the social responsibility and the freedom and liberal democracy.
무엇보다
are
우리 경제의
faced by numerous
성장 엔진을
challenges.
재점화해야 됩니다.
And what we have to do is
성장을
that
해야
we have to
일자리가 생기고
reignite the
월급이
growth
올라가고
potential
승진도 빨라집니다.
of the Korean economy.
성장을 해야
We need growth
사회 이동성이
to
높아져서
make
국민
more
누구나 오늘보다 더
money,
나은
have more
내일을
revenue,
기대할 수
sell more
있습니다.
products, and it would
상공인 여러분의
be
성공이
with growth
우리
that
경제와
would make people
대한민국의
happier,
성공입니다.
and they would be
저는
promoted to
여러분과
the
함께
next level and so on.
가장
So
기업하기 좋은
growth
나라,
is very
기업가가
important.
가장
And
존경받는
myself
나라를
with you together,
함께
I would like
만들어
to make
보겠습니다.
the country where it is best to do business in, and a country where entrepreneurs are the most respected.
자유시장 경제를 확고하게
Liberal
세우고 민간이
market
끌고
economy
정부가
would
미는
stand
역동적인 경제를
firmly
이루어내겠습니다.
and will make a
기반이
dynamic economy
노동,
in
교육,
Korea.
연금의 3대
And that
개혁
would
과제는
be based
무슨
on
일이
the
있어도
three major reform
완수하겠습니다.
policy, the policy reform in three major areas, and I would like to see
상공인
it
여러분,
through.
저와 우리
Esteemed
정부를
businessmen and
믿고
women, please
마음껏
have
기업
trust in
활동을
myself
하시고
and the government and
해외 시장에서 계속
do
도전해
and
주시고
work
좋은
as
일자리
much as you would
많이
like
만들어
to your
주십시오.
heart's content, and I ask you to make more jobs and have more achievements around the world.
변변한 자원 하나 없는 우리나라가
We had
세계
very
10대
scarce
경제
resources
대국으로
in
성장한
Korea,
힘은
and
늘 위기에
nevertheless,
도전하고
we
혁신을
became
거듭한
one of the top 10
우리
economies
상공인
around the world,
여러분들의
and that was
기업가
thanks
정신에서
to your
나왔습니다.
entrepreneurship.
앞으로
taking
기업가
on
정신으로
challenges.
무장하고 거침없이
So please
세계로
have this in mind and run into the world
그
market
도전과 혁신의 길에
as much as you would like.
늘
And
함께하며 응원하겠습니다.
to this end, myself and the government will be supporting you in earnest.
대한민국의 새로운 도약을
For the
위해
new leap of the Republic of
모두
Korea, let
힘차게
us
뛰어봅시다.
run
감사합니다.
together. Thank you.
That was President Yoon Suk-yeol's special lecture at the 51st Commerce and Industry Day ceremony. We thank you for staying with us.